All right.
Hi, welcome to our second early childhood webinar. We are very excited to have people here who have been here before in our first one. Welcome also our new participants. Our audience is really the best part of our webinar, and learning with you, learning in community is going to be wonderful again. My name is Paola de Pereira, and I'm the early childhood principal. And joining me today is...
I'm Tania Duran Bazin. I am Academia Cotopaxi's school psychologist and also the pre-kinder to second grade guidance counselor. And
you will see that there's a seat here. And Joy Brooke, our associate principal, will be joining us soon as well. The topic of today's webinar is related to Dr. Chapman's book, The 5 Love Languages of Children. And we are thrilled to be talking to you about this today. We've all been involved and inspired by so many acts of kindness, of love around Valentine's. And for us, really, Valentine's and love happens at our school with every interaction from your children. So it's just really timely, and we hope that you enjoy it. And we are going to get started with a question. Here's Joy. Hi. We're going to get started with a question for you to kind of get your mind thinking about that, about your children and how they understand the love that you bring to them. And so if we could put up our first slide on here. Dr. Chapman, in his book, he talks about the importance of identifying what is our children's love language. And we have a question for you, and we invite you to tweet in or to put your comments, write your comments on your screen. So, Ms. Tania.
So if I ask your child, how do you know that your mom or dad loves you? What would they say? Si les pregunto a sus hijos, ¿cómo sabes que tu papá o tu mamá te quieren? ¿Qué me responderían? And that's what we want at the end of this talk. We want you to think about what is your child's love language? How do you get to them?
So what do you think? Tell us, write to us. Tell us what you think is that way in which your child recognizes that you love them. What do you think, Ms. Tania?
Yeah, and I was thinking, I talk to your kids all the time, and I know that some of them say, because mom had, or because they buy me things, or because they read to me. So every child is different, but it's just those answers are the ones that will provide us insight into part of how it is that their love languages have developed.
And let's talk about the 5 love languages now. What are they? And let's describe maybe what it might look like in your child. So there's 5 different love languages. And the first one is physical touch. The next one is words of affirmation. The third one is quality time. And the fourth one is gifts. And the fifth one is acts of service. So thinking about what these are, you might decide, oh, yeah, that's what my child really craves. So let's think about physical touch, for instance. Okay. What does it mean if your child's love language is physical touch? I'll show you this slide. So this means that your child really knows that you love them because of your hugs, your kisses, pats on the back. These are the children who will say, if you ask them, how do you know your mom and dad love you? They'll say, because they hug, they kiss me. They cuddle with me, right? So that is important to them. That's how they know.
Some examples of physical touch actions that can demonstrate your love to children are, like Joyce says, those hugs. And we invite you to think about that as you say goodbye to your child in the morning, as you greet them as they come into your house. If you know that your child thrives from getting that nice special hug from you, make sure that every morning that is something that happens in your home, and make sure that when your child comes in, you give them a hug. And if you're not there, there is someone there that will give them a hug, because that's what they thrive from. That's how they know, oh, they really care about me. They really love them.
And something that is super important, just to add, it might be that your love language is completely different than your child's love language. So maybe you're not a hugger. Maybe you don't show your love by hugging or by physical affection. But if your child is, in fact, someone that feels loved by getting that hug, please make sure that you go down to their level. You give them a hug, so that you also need to connect in their language.
It is not by chance that Dr. Chapman places this physical touch as the first love language, because regardless of whether a child connects with one love language more than another, they all need different expressions. And physical touch is the primary expression of love and the message of I care for you, especially with young children, but not exclusive to young children. Young children need to feel that you are embracing them and you are cuddling them. They are going to be secure, when they are within your arm reach. And as they grow older, they might actually react to that in different ways and want a greater level of independence. They might even say, when they reach 7, 8, sometimes 9, children me in public, but they really do want you to hug them. So you can even make it a game, because they're actually talking about hug. They're talking about that affection. They're talking about that touch that comes from you. So make it happen. Make it happen every time. It's very natural when our children need to be held, and they are walking, they are running. We go to them, we embrace them, we pick them up. It is perhaps not as natural as they are growing up. And so we might need to make a greater effort, especially as Ms. Tanya has said, that might not be your preferred way of demonstrating love. And that's okay. That's okay. But if you know that that's your child, and you know that your child needs that, and all children need that physical touch. And I know that Joy can share with us about reading, because I want her to do that, because that's one of the most incredible, touching moments that, we keep for our whole life. Right?
Reading stories with your children on the lap, or beside cuddling together. That's one of the best things you can do for any child, but especially a child where physical touch is their love language. And that reminded me when you were saying, as the child gets older, not to necessarily do it in public. Even my first grader, her love language is physical touch. This morning, I said, "Do you want a hug?" And we were already kind of in a public, here at school. And she said, no. But she, if we weren't, she would have wanted that hug before we said goodbye to each other, to one another. And then, of course, at home, when I come home, it's great big hug. So trying to learn these signs about your child, or even asking them, what do you really need when I come home from you? Is it playing a game with you? Is it a hug? And we're going to move on to the next love language, so you can kind of figure it as well. The next one is about
Words of affirmation.
So this is really in your words. So what you say, and they're powerful. We know that about any words we say to young children, but it's even more powerful to these children who remember these words, and these words are never forgotten, whether good ones or bad ones. So you have to be very careful in your language, right? And so with kids words of affirmation, I care about you, I love you, you're the best thing, you're so special, those words are everything to them. So this is their love language.
But also, there are 5 love languages. If your child likes or prefers the touching or the words of affirmation, that does not mean, and I want to make sure that we emphasize that, that you type of
True.
love language. So for example, words of affirmation, words are super powerful. And it's not only what we say, but how we say it. And kids need to know that no matter what their behavior is, we will always love them. So we need to make sure that we distance behavior from love. You know, you can make mistakes and you can misbehave, but I will always love you. And for example, never withhold a hug because you misbehave. Maybe
Sure.
I hug you, honey, and I know you're going to do, you're going to think before you say things like these. And with the words of affirmation is always having a specific feedback, you know, I really like how you did this, or I love the way you're kind with your words, you know, not just giving praise for giving praise.
Yeah.
Some ideas for that are also related to not only the words that you say, but it could be the words that you write and that stay with them. And so children who are reading, you know, can have small notes in their lunch boxes. They can get a note under their pillow. Children who are not reading might get a great, you know, little drawing that you have made that talks about, like, and like Ms. Tanya is saying, about something that you are admiring about them. Also letting them know that you admire, that you affirm what they are doing, hanging up their drawings on the fridge. Many times, you know, I always think about that because I think, oh, you know, this drawing has been up on my fridge for a year now. I can take it down. And as soon as I take it down, it's like, Mom, where was that? What did you do with that? You know, you don't like it anymore. And it's just so important to kids for them to know that you are validating who they are and what they are doing, and that they hear that from you. They hear that from you in writing, they hear that from you in words. And so in the words of affirmation, and children who thrive from that, in addition to the action, they need to know that you love them through your voice. It's a written voice, it's your verbal voice, but they need to hear that through your voice. And so tell them that you love them and practice that. And even when you are, you know, where you're really frustrated, say, I love you. And it helps you also to at that moment know that your love is unconditional, regardless of what is happening. And it always will be unconditional, because no matter how mad we are, we will always love them, not only when they are doing what we want them to do, but all the time.
That's why all of these are actually very helpful, and we can do all of these. We can strive to do all of these, but learning your own child will help you even emphasize it more. So let's move on to the third one.
Quality time.
Quality time.
Yep.
And talk about that, Ms. Tanya?
Sure. Every time we have talks with you parents, we always say it is super important, not quantity, but quality. And also to make sure that it is not the event in itself. You know, it's like the little moments, like you keep saying, Joy, you know, read a book to your kid. Well, go to the park. Also, make sure to have time, like one-on-one time with mom, one-on-one time with dad. Even if, you know, mom or dad work really hard, or well, everybody works hard, but long hours. Even having a little Skype conversation if they are not in town. You know, I really love you, sweetheart. How was your day?
Exactly.
Tell me about it. What did you play? Specific things.
And that can be a challenge when you have obviously more than one child, right? So we have to, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a date night. Maybe it's just, you know, quiet time when you read together with the other one. So you have that special, you know, 5 minutes with each one. So, but yeah, that time is super important. And I think the most important part about this is the focused attention. We're not letting our cell phone get in the way, you know, our emails. We are looking at the child. We're using eye contact. We are listening. They know we're listening with our body, with our mind, with the questions we ask. That's the most important thing. For kids with time as their love language, they will know when you're not listening and you're not focused, and that will be hurtful. So I think that's the most important thing about quality time, is that when you're there, you're there.
And a wonderful opportunity to have quality time, even as a family,
Yeah.
is dinner time. Because
Yeah.
unfortunately, that tradition is getting lost.
Yeah.
People are just eating in the run, and there's not that specific quality, wonderful time to say, what was a positive thing today? What are you thankful for? It's a wonderful opportunity for our kids too, to be empathetic and to be thankful and just share, what are some wonderful things about today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see how I just told our wonderful David Muniz, tech director, to
Use
help
physical
us
touch.
to use physical touch. So I want to invite you when thinking about quality time. I am now practicing this, and it's not easy. It's hard. I am practicing that when I am giving that quality time, that I'm putting my cell phone away. With the many tweets, WhatsApps, pictures, emails that we get, that's one of the when we ask children what is the most challenging area when getting your parents' attention, it's incredible that we hear mention things like Candy Crush. It's true. They even tell us things like that. Our children tell us, oh, what was, you can't tell, oh, my mom's playing or my dad's playing right now, or they're writing emails or they're working. And so for that focused attention, I invite you to leave your cell phones in a way that it won't distract you, and pay attention to that eye contact. If you're making eye contact with your child, there's no way you're going to get distracted, because you will just see their beauty by looking at their eyes, and you will want to stay there. So that's always a challenge with the many things that we have to do, and yet is so important and gives such a powerful message to our children. So we're going to move on to our fourth love language, and our fourth love language is related to
Gifts.
gifts. And do you want to talk about that?
To be clear on the gifts thing, this isn't about a child being materialistic. It can be a gift of anything. It's about the meaning behind it. So the thought that you actually picked up a flower on your walk and brought or thinking about them and gave it to them, that's powerful for a child whose gift. It's also the gift of time. So, during special events that are important to them, their birthday, that you go all out and you make it all about them. And that shows them that you really love them. And it's never about earning it, or it's never about, you do this and then you get this. It's just because it's to show that you were thinking about them, or that the gift was a lot of thought put into it. You made it specially for them, or it's a personalized gift, right? So these things with kids who, gift is their love language, that means a ton. It means that you were really thinking, and a lot of thought went into it. It wasn't just bought this at the grocery store, today for you, but you bought their favorite candy bar because they were talking about it yesterday, how they hadn't had one in 2 weeks. That shows that you were listening to them, that you care about it, and you were thinking about them. Mm-hmm. So that's the important thing about gifts. I think sometimes people don't understand that. And
I just want to add about that sometimes we think of using that special, candy bar or that special gift that they want as a reward for something that they have done.
Yeah.
Right. And again, we have to be very careful that they don't feel that the love that we are demonstrated is conditional. Mm-hmm. And it depends on whether they behaved or didn't behave. We will always love them. So if your child thrives and really feels your love through those special giving moments, then especially then be careful that it's not a reward for behavior, that you are not using gifts for behavior, but of them knowing that you really thought about them, that you thought about them and the things that they like, and they are also things that are not purchased. Right. So it could be a rock, and that you decorated it in a way and they get to keep that object. And so they have the object as a special token from you. And think about it that way. But they do like getting objects. And as many of you are listening, you might be identifying with, how do I feel love? Do I feel and do I like that either my spouse or, my kids, that they come and hug me? Or do I really enjoy it when they leave me a note? Or do I like it when they surprise me with a gift, regardless of what the gift is, just because it's wrapped? And I think it's wonderful that they wrapped it, in this beautiful way for me. How is it that I identify, or for them just giving me time day, or dad, what happened at work today, or mom, did your presentation that you were practicing for yesterday go well? How is it that you also feel that love? Because that will help you understanding their also feelings about what they appreciate more and connect with.
No, I want to caution here, for those of you that have a situation where you might be divorced or separated from your spouses, what happens sometimes is you tend to try to fill gaps with gifts. And we need to be careful about that. Even if your love language is getting things, the time, the touch, the quality of relationships is not going to be enough to just buy gifts. And for example, I had a meeting with one of you this week that said, it's really hard for me to compete when my kid goes with her dad. She comes back with 8 gifts. So what do I do? And then dad was saying, well, but she loves to get gifts. And I'm like, yeah, but not 8 in one weekend, So you also have to make sure that you balance things. We talk about being well balanced. It's not about getting one gift a day. It's about having a balance of all the different things.
And the gift, I think Paula may have mentioned this, but the gift may be a message. So if you're going out of town, maybe it's just a note in an envelope every day you're gone. That is a gift. That's sharing that they're really thinking about them. You've thought so much about it. Like, it's really about the huge thought you put in to doing something for the gift.
And they use it as a keepsake.
Yeah, forever. Like, those are the things, if your child is one of those, love languages gift, you'll know it because they'll have every little thing set up on their shelf that was given by their cousin, that was given by their aunt. This is special because it was given to me when I was 2 years old, and they remember every detail about it. And it's the thought that went into it. Not necessarily the thing that's there, but they think about that person when they see that item or that note. So,
and all these things, what they end up doing is they are filling up your child's emotional tank. So some will call it emotional tank, others will call it their bucket, others will call it their bank account of feelings. And all these expressions are filling that emotional tank so that when they need emotional resources to deal with difficult situations, their tank is full, full of your love. And there isn't anyone else that is more important to do it in a better way than those who children care about the most. And it is true that at school that is happening as well with those people who are important for them, their teachers, their peers, the custodians, everyone that is around them. But the one that can fill up their tank the most is the caregiver. And is those people who are around them. So it's you, and if your child is, taken care of by a nanny, it's the nanny and the grandparents, even if they're far away. It's very important that emotional tank is filled up, and your love fills that emotional tank. So isn't it wonderful to think that you have the power of sending your child off to school every day with a tank full of, so that they can deal with whatever it is that happens during the day, whatever adversity comes, whatever situation in the playground, and that makes them be in an emotional state that makes them ready for learning, because they're not worried to be. They can take from their emotional tank and deal with it and be there with a beautiful emotional state to learn. So fill that up. And then our last love language is acts of service. And when I think of acts of service, I think, wow, this is what parents do all the time. Dad's fixing breakfast in the morning and running because he also has to get ready for work and getting everything ready, and and might be hurried, and it might be a little bit I don't know, fast. But children will remember that. They will remember those acts of service. And some children need to receive those more than others. To know that people are doing things for them just because, not because they are expecting a gratefulness, but because they just care for. At the beginning, as children are little, we are in constant service. We are at their service. They say, we jump, right? They put their hand out, we give them something, we feed them, we dress them, we change them. And as they grow older, those acts of service that we are giving change a little, because we also want them to feel that they can be independent and take care of themselves. But some children really thrive from feeling that they are being cared for. And so that making of their breakfast, of fulfilling their basic needs, of helping them perhaps choose their clothes, those are acts that they thrive from.
The one thing in the book that really talked to me in this area, this love language, is that we do it lovingly. We all signed up for service when we became parents, but it's our attitude, how we choose to do things for our kids. Are we doing it because we do, we're supposed to, we're frustrated about, but we got to get it done? Are we doing it because we want to do it for our children? We love making them breakfast. And so it's a real something to think about when we do all these things that we normally do for them. The kids who have service in mind are looking at how we do it. And that's what sticks with them. Are we doing it out of love? Are we making them their special breakfast out of love? Or are we doing it just because we had to do it? So I think that's an important part of this one.
We are reaching the end of our webinar, and we want to thank all of our participants. I do want to say and tell some of you who have been able to watch us throughout the whole clip that we did have some technical difficulties this time, and we are going to be taking care of them. Some people were writing to us and weren't able to air, and that caused that we weren't able to see some of the questions and respond to them and select them. So we're going to get better at this, and we're going to get it right for you. This webinar will be recorded. And so as a summary, we invite you to think about the ways in which your child feels your love. We will be sending you this presentation with more information and ideas. We will also include in the presentation a small quiz that you can help your child take. It's an electronic quiz that then tells your child what is their love language. I'll send you that link, and join us for our next webinar. And Joy or Tanya, you want to summarize or just give the list of our 5 love languages?
Sure. Physical touch,
Words of affirmation,
Quality time,
gifts.
acts of service.
So go discover. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.